Canon 3A. It's going strong. Got it really cheap. It sometimes sounds a little bit crunchy, but yeah, this is an amazing camera. It definitely has a few issues. It has a little bit of a learning curve because it's got one major quirk that makes people sometimes hate it. So I've put Kodak XX through it. I've put black and white and color film, Kodak XX, Color Plus. I've put 250D Vision 3. I've even put slide film through it, and I absolutely love this camera, and it's going to be staying with me for a very long time, if not pretty much indefinitely. And all the B-roll for this I filmed during the early spring. That's when I was really putting this camera through its paces, so to speak. Had the Canon 1.8 Leica thread mount LTM, or universal thread mount lens as Canon likes to call it, and I had it for a long time, and I use it on my Leicas and with an adapter, and they were really good, and it just works really well. I am really enjoying using this camera, and I don't really have too many negative things to say about it, so this video might be short. It's got a fairly soft shutter. The horizontal cloth shutters on Leicas, I don't really find them to be all that quiet anyway. They're definitely quiet than the vertical traveling shutters on Leica M-mount cameras. Like the M240 is the one I'm most familiar with. The M9 I had for a little while, quite a while actually. It was okay, but anyway. As for film rangefinders, this is about as cheap as you can get. You're not going to find a modern rangefinder with this much ability and a shutter that goes to 1,000. It's rare. Now this is fully mechanical. It doesn't have a meter. Basically, after a while, you can Sunny 16 things. You can just eyeball things. You just go from memory, from when you were, I metered a scene like this before. This amount of light will be fine for X shutter speed. So it's not that difficult. The things that I love about it is obviously the size, the 1,000 shutter speed, the coupled rangefinder viewfinder mechanism that you don't find on Barnack style Leicas. I know in a previous video I've compared this, or called it a Barnack style Leica, which it's from the same time period, but and it basically works the same way, but it has a combination rangefinder viewfinder. It's terrible, but it works, it's usable, and you get used to it. If anything, it makes you appreciate, when you go back to like an M body, it makes you appreciate those viewfinders, especially the viewfinders on digital cameras, even older digital cameras like the Fuji XE1. It makes you really appreciate those viewfinders and the ability to focus with something that could be considered actually usable. But, you know, I'm disparaging it a little bit. I do find it very usable, and I love using it. And the rangefinder was calibrated well enough when it showed up that I could shoot this at f2. This lens goes to 1.8, but I could shoot it at f2, and I got things in focus most of the time. Sometimes it was just me moving back and forth or moving around, or my subject moving. Often it's my 3-year-old. And I've been taking this on walks with me. It's really easy to travel with. It's really easy to just put the strap around your neck or across your shoulder or on your shoulder and just go. It's not light, but it is compact because it's made of brass. It's a little heavy, but if you shoot M bodies, it's light. The lens on it is a 50mm Canon universal third mount, Leica third mount, like I said, and that's because this is really optimized, the viewfinder, for shooting 50mm, because there's no frame lines. You can probably see there's no frame line illumination window. It's just the rangefinder window and the patch window and the actual viewing window, and it's fairly accurate. There's no lines in it. You kind of have to, you become really familiar with that 50mm field of view. I think after I spend a few months or maybe even a year or two using this camera, I think I'll be able to repair it myself. I wouldn't say it's fairly simple. It is kind of like working on a mechanical watch, but once you learn the camera, you can get a pretty good sense of how it's working and what's wrong with it and how to fix it. So another thing that I love so much about it is this little, makes you feel like an optometrist. It's this magnifier. So it goes from 50 to 1x and 1.5x. So you get to zoom. You can kind of just do it at 50mm, and then if you're having trouble kind of getting that focus patch to show, or if your eyesight's not as good, or if you wear glasses, you can just zoom in, like, oh, there it is, and then you just go back to your normal 50mm, and then you just drop the shutter, or rather press down and activate or actuate the shutter. So it's not all, rainbows and speed. Like, this is a slow camera to use. That's something that, yeah, you're gonna have to kind of get used to, and that's fine. Film, generally, you want to be a little bit more deliberate, and you're gonna have to be a little bit more deliberate. You get 36 shots. I retape my leaders for this guy, so I get a couple extra shots out of my rolls. Obviously, the viewfinder window being dim and just not very good to look through. Usable, yes. The other issue is, I've gotten really good at it now, is you have to advance the shutter before you can change the shutter speed. These really are meant to be kind of shot on shutter priority mode. It doesn't have a shutter priority mode, but really it's meant to just kind of set your shutter and then go by how much light you have and change the aperture. If you like to shoot at a wider aperture or use shallower depth of field and you want to keep your lens at like f2, first of all, if you're shooting during the day, you'll need an ND filter because the shutter speed only goes to 1,000. If you're using a 400, even 800 speed film, you're going to need an ND filter. Yeah, the way the shutter works, having to wind the shutter before you can change it is a little bit annoying. That viewfinder window I keep going back to, I like using it because it's like this hipster old school tech, but also it kind of sucks. The rewind mechanism, you got to throw the rewind knob. You got to throw that rewind knob, and then you got to just pull it up and crank. It doesn't have the lever, which makes it faster, but that's okay. I'm an M3 shooter also, so I'm used to that. The advance, obviously you have to turn it like a knob. There's no advance lever, so that's also okay. Once you make peace with the fact that it's a small, compact, quiet camera without a meter, and you're going to be as fast as you are able to kind of calculate things and see what you're seeing and set your scenes up at 50mm. So if you're dedicated to 50mm, you can get an external viewfinder and put a 35mm lens on it. You can or a 28, 24, whatever you want to shoot, you can shoot. However, to get to use it really in its like native state, 50 millimeters, if you like shooting 50 millimeters, it's a good setup. This thing is older than my parents, and it's going to outlive me. It's going to probably go to my kid, and it'll still work. And there's something really special about a tool like that. I don't have the biggest hands, but that's like one of the best film cameras I've ever used. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm not selling it. I got it for like, I think $100. I already had the lens, and shutter was well within tolerance for shooting even slide film, like I said. And for a camera from the 50s, that is very, very impressive. It's a very special, special camera. A fraction of the price of an M mount rangefinder. The only thing close to this in as far as modern thread mount rangefinders go is the Voigtlander Bessa. But this is somehow more fun to shoot sometimes. The Bessa has a meter, but you know, maybe I'll make a different video about that. But this camera, if this was your only camera, oh, you'd be happy and you'd get along fine. Having had it for several months, it's just really good. It's just very, very, very enjoyable. You know, those are the pros and the cons, I guess. And even in 2024, this is like August, it just works. It just works. I'm gonna keep shooting this. I'll keep making videos about it. But this is one of probably and hopefully many. So I'm coming up on 500 subs. I'm gonna give away a roll of film. So subscribe, I guess. Let's get there, and then I'll figure out how to give away film. One can, probably rolled from bulk.